Every few years, the same name returns to the same question, and somehow there's still no clean answer. Rymir Satterthwaite says he isn't chasing a payout or a trend. He says he wants the truth about his father.
But he took the DNA thing with the it was ancestry type shit. I think he got like somebody popped up on it, like, no. If you talk to him personally, that's his son.
You think that's his son?
Yeah.
You spoke on, the love child, Rymir, Jay-Z, he's come out and said, like, this is just long-term harassment, man. He's like, this thing just won't go away.
Long-term harassment. You know how disrespectful that is to a man that looks almost identical to you?
Yeah, that's his child. That's very disrespectful. I mean,
to a man that chances are, just out of nowhere, random universal selection, this boy who's not related to you has your nose, has your mouth, has your brow line, has your hairline, same straight knobby knees, is like all of this just by accident. Just by accident.
The name attached to that truth is Jay-Z, and that single detail turns a private search into a public storm. Lawyers file and withdraw, headlines spark and fade, and the timeline bends in strange ways. But one thing never changes: people on both sides think the next step will finally end it. This year felt like that moment. A new lawsuit arrived, a pointed response hit the record, and then, just when the story seemed ready for a courtroom showdown, the case was withdrawn. Not closed with a test, not resolved with a ruling, withdrawn. And that's where the mystery got louder. Before there were filings and headlines, there was a young man raised on a story he couldn't verify. According to past reporting, Rymir Satterthwaite grew up with the belief, communicated within his family, that his late mother had a brief connection to Jay-Z in the early 1990s, and that he might be the result. Like countless paternity questions, this one started as something intimate: identity, lineage, and the quiet ache of not knowing. But because the potential father is one of the most famous artists on Earth, the search for proof could never stay small. By the mid-2010s, the effort moved from personal appeals into the legal system, where the rules are brutally specific and the standard is evidence, not emotion. The 2015 coverage by UPI is a useful early waypoint. It documents that an action tied to paternity questions was in motion then, and that representatives close to Rymir were trying to compel clarity. Those pieces didn't deliver a final result. They showed how the attempt to reach one kept encountering procedural thickets. That's a theme you'll hear more than once in this story: the difference between what people believe and what a court can actually decide, given the exact papers, the exact venue, and the exact statute. If this were any other family, maybe there would have been a quiet test and a quiet answer years ago. Fame changes the calculus. When the alleged father has a global brand to protect and a legal team designed to shut down what they view as meritless claims, everything gets slower, narrower, and more technical. You don't just ask for a test. You have to win the legal right to one, in the right court, under the right conditions, against a defense determined to keep the case from ever reaching that step. And if your filings miss even one technical requirement, the case may be dismissed without touching the core question. That isn't a conspiracy. That's how procedure works. The result is the same, though: no answer.
At first, you offered him bread, like, and everything, but his aunt, this is like his caretaker, didn't like approve of it. She said no. Jay-Z got a lien on her house, all type of shit that was going on. Yeah, the lady put up paperwork and everything with his name on it and all that. I mean, but young boy's so thorough though. He just want a dad. He not trying to get no money. He not trying to do none of that. I mean, that's why. So I told him when he called me 2 years ago, I said, listen, I don't want to be the one to tell your story because they're gonna think I'm trying to catch rep off of it. So let me let you tell your story somewhere else first. I mean, then I could talk about it. But he called me like 2 years ago, telling me like, I said, oh, young boy. He's like, I just want a dad. I don't want no money. I'm already 18. I think he was like 20 something at the time. But something happened to him, and I was like, yo, that sounds kind of weird. He said he was coming out from work, going to work, and it was a gun in his car. Like when he opened the door, he seen the gun. He said he went to go like call his man, like, yo, did you leave a gun in my car? His man's like, no. He said, why you on the phone talking to his man? The cops pull up and lock him up. He said, he's telling the cops, no, that's not my gun. He's like, so he went in the building he was in, and they seen that somebody pulled up and put the guns in his car.
Oh.
And pulled off. I said, bro, I don't know nobody in the hood that got guns to just waste like that to do that. I don't know what. He's like, yeah, so like Jay-Z had a gag order against him, like trying to get a gag order and trying to. And my thing is, if it's not my son, I'll just take a test, get over with.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you did dodge it and whatever, to me, I don't know. I think his mom was underage or something when he was born, so I think that's probably. Yeah, I think that's probably part of it.
Yeah.
But like I said again, it's not the same as now.
But is his mom still alive?
No, she died.
Huh.
She was 15 when she had him.
Oh. How old was Jay?
Like 20 something, I guess.
Oh.
Like 20, probably early 20, like 20.
Here is the part people skip, even though it decides almost everything. In New Jersey, the court can order genetic testing in contested paternity matters. If a party refuses to take a court-ordered test, that refusal can be admitted as evidence, and creates a presumption that the result would have been unfavorable to the person who refused. That is powerful, but it is not an automatic declaration of paternity. The judge still needs a live case, proper service, jurisdiction, and the rest of the statutory machinery moving in the right direction. In short, refusal can hurt you, but the court has to reach the merits first. This is why cases like this can stretch across years. If filings are dismissed on technical grounds or withdrawn before the court orders a test, the law never flips the switch from uncertainty to proof. And because the burden of getting everything procedurally correct often falls on the person bringing the claim, a single error, wrong venue, improper service, timing defects can reset the clock. None of that makes headlines, but it's where the fate of cases is decided. For viewers, the key is to separate two ideas: what seems fair versus what the statute allows. When those diverge, process wins. In May 2025, a new lawsuit from Rymir's side landed in federal court, reigniting a dispute many assumed had gone quiet. Within weeks, the response from Jay-Z's legal team arrived, and it did not mince words. In filings reported on July 14, 2025, the defense characterized the matter as decades-long harassment built on fabricated allegations. They also raised procedural defenses, arguing, among other points, that service was improper and requesting additional time to evaluate and respond formally. For anyone expecting a soft denial or a quick settlement, the message was the opposite. Challenge everything, that tone matters. Lawyers don't casually use language like fabricated. It plants a flag that the defense intends to fight not only the claim but the way it has been presented for years. It also hints at a strategy: keep the case focused on procedure and credibility, not on a test. If you persuade a court that the case is flawed at the threshold service, jurisdiction, prior orders, you may never need to address the biological question at all. And if the court never orders testing, the stalemate remains, legally intact and public relations manageable.
Do you believe the guy that was really Jay-Z's son?
I mean, only reason I believe it because I know Jay-Z's smart and he got a lot of money, and if it wasn't, he wouldn't even acknowledge it. I mean, but plus, he took the ancestry test, and the people in his family popped up on the shit. You know, you take that shit, anybody that take it, they pop up on shit. I mean, so I was like, mind you, I mean, my thing is this, like, I see the people that went to that boy island, the Epstein Island, with the young underage girls. And I'm like, well, what y'all going to the island for? How y'all even know these people? So they're all the people, the diabolical people in the same circle, man. I wouldn't even know those kind of people because I would still have my same friends from before. We don't do that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You mean I can't see me wanting a girl that's underage when I'm fucking old. You know what I'm saying? What you want? Like, I mean, I just don't. Not saying that. I mean, my thing is this: and you're a celebrity, you should know better. But once you see it, you're gonna be around that shit. Mind you, got power, you got money. You can get a girl that's older that look young. I mean, but my thing is when you start messing with kids, man, it's like kids innocent. Kids the most purest thing on earth. I mean, so like kids, you're supposed to give them game. You're supposed to tell them how the pitfalls of life and how. I mean, you want to like that shit to me like something wrong with you. I mean, because you know what I mean, that's something wrong with you. Because I mean, as you age, it's automatically that you want people that's older because y'all got stuff in common. Y'all know about the same things. So what would I talk about to a girl that's 19, 18, any of that? Like, what the fuck I'm gonna say? What we gonna talk about? Nickelodeon? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I got a daughter that's old. Like, what I'm gonna talk about this? I mean, I gotta say you having girls because a man could be 50 and a girl could be 28. I mean, because sometimes girls are more mature than men. But when you start talking about underage and close to just 20 and 19, they just get you something wrong with you.
At the end of July 2025, Rymir Satterthwaite withdrew his federal lawsuit. In a short statement posted to Instagram, he said there was a lot going on behind closed doors and that he was stepping back to play chess, not checkers, reporting. By E! News and others captured the key fact: the federal case is off the table for now. Withdrawn doesn't mean settled. It doesn't mean disproven. It doesn't mean confirmed. It means the court stops moving, and the docket goes quiet. For the public, that silence is frustrating. For the parties, it can be strategic. What does a withdrawal actually do? It removes the immediate pressure of deadlines and motions. It reduces the risk of an unfavorable ruling in the short term. And it can create space to refile in a different forum, rework the pleadings, or pursue a non-litigation path. But it also resets the fight for clarity. Without an active case, there is no mechanism to compel a test or produce a judicial finding. So even though the story felt close to a decisive courtroom moment, the withdrawal pulled the brakes and left viewers staring at the same unanswered question as before. Around the same period, another thread grabbed attention. Nicki Minaj posted a series of public claims alleging that Jay-Z owes her between $100 to $200 million, eyed to title equity, assertions reported by mainstream outlets but not adjudicated in court. On social platforms, issues blur. To audiences, it can look like pressure is everywhere, but from a legal perspective, these are separate matters. They may shift public sentiment, but they do not change the procedural posture of a paternity dispute. It's important to keep those lines bright. Posts are not pleadings. For creators covering stories like this, the safest and sharpest approach is to treat industry chatter as context, not evidence. You can acknowledge that public claims raise the temperature around a celebrity, but don't let that temperature substitute for proof. Your audience will trust you more when you point to documents and dates rather than vibes and volume.
Ape has a statute of limitations.
Yeah, everything has statute of limitations except for murder. It's like probably 7 years. He can't even get locked up for it at all. That's why the girl can't file no charges against him, because it's a statute of limitation. You know what I'm saying? And he said, yo, man, my man is Jay-Z's son, and he want to talk to you. Like, I said, mind you, the first thing I thought, like, this nigga lying. I said, all right, I'll talk to him, but young boy is chef. So I talked to him, I told him, I said, listen, young man, I don't want you to do the video with me because it's gonna look like I fished you out. And I'm trying to do a video with you because you Jay-Z's son, I'm trying to hate and all that. And I said, plus it's gonna be a lot of backlash on you. I mean, people gonna say they're not gonna believe you and all that. So I don't know if you wanna do it with me first. I could have easily get the money off of him and all that shit. And I said, I ain't gonna even talk about this shit until you talk about it first. So when I see he talked about it, that's the only reason I talked about it. I mean, but he said a lot of stuff that I still ain't said yet. I mean, like that's unbelievable. But they anytime a person make you sign a gag order and all that type of shit, that means you really must believe that's your son. Because if you're not my son, I know you're my son, nigga. You're not my son, bro. I'm not making you sign no gag.
Wait, he made his son, or he made the baby mom sign a gag order?
The aunt. I think the mom is like maybe dead or something. So it's the aunt that got custody of him, and they offered him money. They offered him money.
How'd the mom die?
Oh, I forgot. I don't know if he told me that, but I know they offered the young boy aunt money, but he said my aunt, she already had a couple dollars. And she's like, no, they ain't. I mean, I said, bro, if he offered me any millions, I'm taking it. If my dad give me some millions, I'm done. That's it. But the nigga not offer you no millions if they're not your son. Especially not that nigga. That nigga, he might offer you 5,000. Like, yeah, you got millions. I said, bro, you ain't take that. But his aunt had custody of him. Like, so she turned it down.
Every argument eventually circles back to 3 letters. The most definitive path is a court-ordered genetic test conducted under recognized standards, with results entered into evidence. New Jersey's Parentage Act not only contemplates such testing, it also specifies that refusing a properly ordered test can be used against the refusing party, a presumption that the result would have been unfavorable, and can even trigger contempt. But courts don't fire that signal flare unless a case is active, properly served, and within their power to decide. That's the barrier. It's not a mystery. It's a sequence. Miss one step, and the sequence stops. This is where expectations collide with reality. People say, if there's nothing to hide, why not take the test? The law says, because no one is compelled to do anything without the right order in the right case. People say, a refusal means guilt. The law says, a refusal can be presumptively unfavorable, but only inside a valid proceeding. That gap explains why stories like this can live for years. No active case, no test, no resolution, and a stage crowded with opinions.
What do you feel someone coming out saying, hey, Jay-Z's my father? What does that person want from a Hov if he's saying he does not care?
To prove that his mother wasn't a liar, because that's what they said his entire life while she was alive. Denying him makes her a liar. That woman was on the phone with the judge who was harassing her, telling her, demanding that she stop filing for paternity when she gave way and died. His mama died on the phone. Trying to get proper acknowledgement for him. If your mama died like that, would you just sit around and let people keep calling her a liar? That's how your mama died, with a judge yelling at her. And turns out now, all of these judges were bought off and paid off, and they're going to be looking at sanctions and probably charges, because what they did was illegal.
From the defense, Jay-Z's filings don't just deny paternity, they position the entire saga as harassment, fueled by fabricated allegations. That language isn't only for the judge, it's for the public record, signaling that any future filings will be met with maximum skepticism and procedural firepower. From the claimant, Rymir's withdrawal came with a message: this is a tactical pause, not surrender. He told followers he doesn't have a settlement and intends to keep pressing for answers, just not through the case he just pulled. 2 frames, 1 outcome. No current court order. No test, no final answer. This is the bind. If you're Rymir, identity is the prize and patience is the tax. If you're Jay-Z, brand stewardship is non-negotiable, and engaging on the merits might feel like opening a door you can't close. So the fight migrates to the terrain where each side is strongest. Procedure for the defense, persistence for the claimant. And unless a judge forces the issue, neither has to step onto the other's turf.
I'll tell you what I do know. I do know that I have listened to actual commentary from his godmother, Lily, who sat with a friend of mine, Liz Crokin. I was there, I was present, I heard it come out of her mouth. Wanda was a minor when she got pregnant with Rymir. And like Wanda always said, he picked her up in Philly, but he took her to New York, across state lines, to bed her while she was allegedly underage. Even though Lily was present when Rymir was born. She was very clear on the fact that Wanda was a minor when she was pregnant with Rymir, who was born a year before my son Giovanni. He came 92. That means she got knocked up in 91. He was well into his 20s by that time. Well into his 20s. Allegedly taking teenage girls over the state line. He got unlucky, that condom broke. Poor guy. Or maybe that was just karma. Maybe God made sure that happened for a moment like right now. Disgusting. Don't nobody want to talk about the other kids that everybody denies don't exist. And what else?
3 things could flip this from narrative to answer. First, A new, properly constructed filing that survives preliminary challenges and gets a judge to order testing. That requires airtight service, correct venue, and statutory boxes all checked. Second, a mutually agreed private test with chain of custody and admissibility in mind, less likely given the posture, but not impossible. Third, a court ruling on the existing record that closes the door without testing. It wouldn't satisfy the public, but it would end the legal storyline. Each path is rare because the incentives cut the other way. For Rymir, risk includes cost and the possibility of a final no. For Jay-Z, risk includes optics and the remote chance of an unfavorable legal inference. This is why every year feels like the year something will happen, and why it often doesn't. Single quotes T. In the meantime, creators and viewers should hold two thoughts at once: empathy for a person seeking identity, and respect for a person insisting on legal process. That's not fence-sitting. It's the only way to stay honest when the decisive act hasn't happened. Until a court orders testing, or both sides stipulate to it, we are reading shadows on the wall and pretending they're the figures themselves. The figures remain off-stage.
So that takes me to when you speak on Aaliyah. People really was honed in when you spoke on Dame Dash, Aaliyah, and you're speaking on something where you're saying, I wish that situation would be investigated further.
No, to be investigated. Period. It was never investigated. Hype was never questioned. Lenny Kravitz made a statement, and it was never publicized. She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane. There were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs. Why would you need to sign a non-disclosure agreement about a plane crash and what happened leading up to it? Please, someone answer that.
Do you feel like
why the fuck would you need to sign? A nigga don't ask about a plane crash if it was accidental.
Do you feel like...
Riddle me that. Work with me here in this moment.
And I'm gonna ask you.
A plane crash should be accidental.
Should be.
Why would any testimony about what happened leading up to it need to be covered under a non-disclosure agreement if there wasn't foul play?
Now, mind you, September 11th happened a week later. 9/11 happened a week later. Do you think that took away from it?
Once again, there are people who did short sales on their stocks right after that, made a lot of fucking money, including Sean Carter. Now I'm going to ask you, why would non-disclosure agreements need to be signed for an accident?
Okay.
There were over 25 non-disclosure agreements cashed out and recorded regarding the death of that beautiful girl and every other human being that died on that plane with her.
Like, you real sneaky and real, like, see, but this is what Jay-Z know how to do. You know how to not say nothing and make you look crazy because, like, you're not gonna say nothing. So you give you a chance to assume, man, it's other person crazy and lying, like, I mean. So, but see, me, I don't worry about the image. He got to worry about the image. I don't give a fuck about worrying about no image. I mean, whatever you think about me, I don't care. Like, I really, honestly don't care. Like, I mean, I care about certain people, care how they look at me, like certain people I might respect, but the internet world is fake to me. That shit is fake. I mean, these people on the internet, if you got enough time to type on something about me, that means you watch what I'm doing. I mean, what are you doing with yourself? You watching me, and I'm getting paid for you watching me. Thank you. So you got a right to say whatever you want to say, but that shit ain't real. I mean, it's not real. I mean, because you got to remember, back in the day, on my time, you had to go outside to get a girl. You had to go outside. These niggas these days don't go outside to do nothing. They just type on the joint and talk shit. I mean, like, you can't let it affect you because, I mean, even look at the show Catfish. Shit like that didn't exist when I was young. Like, it's not a thing that could even happen. Like, so like this world right now is not made for niggas like me because we don't understand it. I mean, everything that's right is wrong now. Everything that's right is wrong.
You had a record, No, right? That you wanted to get Jay-Z on?
Yeah, but he said he was going, he told me he was going to get on it. He asked me about getting on it. But he must have sat there and thought about it and said, man, I'm not getting on that shit, man. This nigga might get big. And like, I mean, you got to think about State Property CDs. Not only was he not on no song, like, he had put out a CD at the same time as ours joint come out. Mind you, Sparks had a song, right? Trying to get Jay-Z to clear the hook. Jay-Z voice was on the hook. He wouldn't clear it. But he cleared Cassidy joint.
What was his excuse?
You don't got to give you no excuse. The fact that you ain't do it, I don't even need an excuse. You ain't do it. You mean?
Strip away the chatter and this becomes simple. A claim, a denial, and a law that can force clarity but hasn't yet. In July 2025, the defense sharpened its stance, and the claimant withdrew the federal case. Those two facts do not answer the question. They preserve it. If this ever ends in a way the public accepts, it will be because a judge ordered a test and the result became part of the record, or because a final ruling made further argument pointless. Until then, beware of certainty masquerading as analysis. The most truthful sentence available today is still the hardest to say on the internet. We don't know yet.